Okay, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Health Innovation Playground. This is Yusuf.
And this is Damila.
And today we are sitting at IGES Spain, and we have the pleasure to be with the general manager, Chus Castillo. He has more than 25 years of experience as part of management teams in pharmaceutical and biotech companies such as Roche, GSK, Pfizer. Now he leads strategic initiatives in the pharmaceutical sector, focusing on consulting and market access, pricing, and reimbursement. Hello, Chus.
Hello, a pleasure to be here.
Our pleasure to have you in our podcast. So let's begin with the questions. The first question is for the layperson and non-experts. When we talk about market access for healthcare, health technologies, what do we mean by that? Can you explain, like in brief?
I will try to explain in an easy way, right? Because under my point of view, market access is everything that needs to happen so a patient can actually and use a real technology in the real life. That means it's very easy to explain in one sentence. So one thing is the regulatory approval allows a product to exist. Yeah, there's all the regulatory processes and pathways that every country has. But market access, it's that discipline that allows the patients or the experts in order to be used. Yeah, that's the most important thing and the main difference, right? So it's one thing is the regulatory, and the other thing is the market access. The market access is the tool or the strategy that can give us or can give to the companies in order to have access to the technology or to a product.
Perfect. Okay.
And how does that translate to day-to-day work with you?
Yeah, there are five key topics when we try to translate into day-to-day work. The first topic is who pays for it. Yeah, that is quite important. The second one is under what conditions. Yeah, the technology of the product can be affordable. The third is for which patients. That is also quite important. We cannot forget at what price. Yeah. And the other important topic is to select the channel. That means through hospitals or through pharmacies.
Okay.
Or the public ones or the private ones.
And how does that differ between private markets and public ones?
It's a good question. So that depends. No, in the particular case of pharmaceuticals or biotech industry, that means for these companies, the most important channel is the public ones. Yeah, because the reimbursement in each of the countries. And you are talking about medical devices or technologies. Maybe the right way to do it is start for the private ones and then try to move to the public sector. Which is the rationale behind that? So the rationale behind that is that the incorporation on some of the technologies is much easier to the private sector than in the public ones. Yeah. And also it's a way to recover or to have some real world data experience coming from private hospitals in order to extrapolate to the public ones.
Okay.
Because access to the private markets is usually faster.
It's usually faster. You can have another advantage. You have free pricing. Yeah. That is quite important, depend on the technology and depend on whatever. For example, digital tools, I think that is much better for the private sector than the public ones. That depends on the technology, right? Many times. Yeah. If we're talking about biotech or biomarkers or diagnosis products or whatever, I think that you need to go to the public ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as we know, there's different rules and different regulations between different countries, of course. And what is the general difference between US market access and Europe? or Asian markets? Well, Asian market is very big and it's growing. And
It's a good question. It's a good question. Is it a good question? Let me check. Yeah, because there are many differences regarding the three main markets, right? In Europe,
yeah,
in the world. So if we're talking about Europe, I think that we have four main characteristics in order to define Europe at this topic, right? So the most important thing is this: Europe is a centralized regulation that is quite. It's a way to be safe for the companies in some manner, right? Yes. And then we have a regulation at the European level, and then reimbursement at national level. So that means certain complexity. The other important thing is we need to take in account that in Europe you can gain lower prices.
okay.
Yeah, it's another important thing. And maybe for the complications for the different countries, if we took Europe as a 27 countries, you have a slow access because you have 27 different regulations in terms of reimbursement, right? Not in terms of approval, yeah, in terms of reimbursement, and it's who pays for that, yeah. The other important topic for issue or characteristic for the European market is a strong role of the HCA bodies, yeah. That is quite different from other markets like US or Asia, no? One of the most regulated HCA bodies would be the NICE, for example, or maybe AIFA in Italy, or the ASMR qualification in France, or AMNOC in Germany. So yeah, which is quite important. The level of evidence that means, yeah, you need to have a strong evidence, not only for pharma, also for medical devices or diagnosis tools, right? So that is quite different, quite important. And the other important thing is you're thinking about Europe is also you need to think about coordination. That means coordination, that means pricing corridors, that means a lot of things in order to be coordinated, which is the first country in and the last country out. So these kind of things you need to take in account in terms of Europe. If we are talking about the US market, the first characteristic for me, at least for me, under my experience, is to have faster access. Yeah. Yeah, that's after approval. The other topic that we define clearly the United States markets, it's the fragmented payers. So that means complications because the system is quite different from the European ones. And then you need to negotiate with the distributors in the US. So that means you can have different level of prices, different level of negotiations. And in the chain of the US market, you have different actors. That is quite important in terms of all the pricing corridor at the US market, right? So you have physicians, you have distributors, you have hospitals, you have a lot of them, and each of them has a percentage over the price, right? So it's quite important in terms of price erosion from beginning until the user, right? So this is also important. Another characteristic, you can have higher prices. But now we'll see, because as you know, we are in the MFN coming from the Trump administration that maybe change a lot the rules of the pricing at the US. Yeah. So this is one of the characteristics that we need to take in account.
In a good way for business or in a bad way for business?
Depends on the size of the company. If you are a big pharma, maybe you have in a good position in order to negotiate with the MFN environment. If you are a biotech or a small and medium company, maybe you have more troubles.
Difficult.
Yeah, more difficult. Yeah. Yeah. And then the last is Asia. So regarding Asia, I'm not an expert in Asia, first of all. But we're talking about the two biggest markets in Asia, that's Japan or China. We're talking about China is the fastest market, but is really quite controlling by the pricing. Yeah. So you have faster access, but then the complexity in Japan is how to fix the price.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the regulation in Asia, and
the regulation in Asia.
Yeah, like
So depend on each of the countries. It's quite different. Yeah. Yeah. The most regulated are China and Japan. The rest of the countries are quite regulated, but not at the same level than Japan or China. Yeah. And in China, under my experience with some IVDRs, it's a centralized negotiation. That means a lot. Then you have the regional steps also. Um, the most important thing if we want to go to China market is a huge market. That it is what it is, no? But yeah, it's a huge market, quite centralized. That means the price can be affected, right? Because one thing is decentralized with the governor of China, and then you need to go to the regions of China, and each region have different approaches, more related with pricing. So that means take care with the price when you go to China then, and also you need a Chinese partner.
yeah, of course,
Yeah,
to
of course.
speak a language at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, because if not, you cannot go to the market.
Yeah,
But in the other hand, it's also quite important market. In terms of innovation, for me, it's now
but it's very competitive, right?
much faster than the US.
Yeah. And competition in China, I guess
It's
it's
amazing.
so big and
It's amazing. It's amazing. I have the theory that in the next 10 to 20 years, the majority of the innovation in biotech coming from China. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's true because they have the capabilities, they have the center, they have the population, they have the money to invest in biotech. So they have a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah, they have cities only dedicated to investigation, right?
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cities with hospitals and the government pays to move patients from one zone to another in order to have the clinical trial faster than the rest.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, we can imagine this in Europe. It's like a big complication.
Yeah. Because of regulation.
Yeah, because of the regulations, because of whatever, no? To capture patients in Europe, it's quite difficult. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I imagine myself being an entrepreneur and I have a new medical device. I want everyone to use it. But would you advise that I start by selling my technology to all the patients, or should I be more specific at the beginning?
The most important thing in order to solve your question is to have a clear TPP of your technology. Yeah? This is your target product profile. So you need to define clearly well which is your positioning for your device, which is the level of evidence that your device can bring to the market. If you don't have evidence, if you don't have a clear positioning, that's difficult a lot, the introduction in the market. So for me, the most important thing is trying to fix this technology is useful for that, base it on the level of evidence that can generate. Yeah.
But should I go for all patients at once, or should I go for them?
This is related. The level of evidence that you need to generate, that is related with the level, with the type of patient you need to go. Yeah. That's the most important thing for me, because at the end is the positioning of your product in the real life. And another important thing is you have technology now. You need to do you need to do a lot of things, but one of the most important things is to do an origin scanning. So that means I have this technology now, and my competitors or not now, and what really happens when I have all the level of evidence using this technology when we are ready to launch.
Yeah.
Then you need to do again what really happens, because it will be much different between the beginning and in scenario 5 years, right? Yeah. So you need to think of both, because now it's here, but we want to go there, and then we need to go, what can happen in 5 year scenario?
But it's very hard to predict, especially.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard, but you need to do it. It is hard. It's not easy, but yeah, if you want to be success, my recommendation is to do it. That means a lot of investment, true, but you want to be a success.
You can continue.
Okay. You had a post on LinkedIn, and here I quote you. You said, global market access is entering a new phase, not because health systems suddenly became more cost conscious, but because pricing, industrial strategy, and public policy have finally converged. So, for us newbies to market access, we want to unpack this. So, first, you say pricing is becoming a tool of national policy. How is that?
Yeah, that's clear. Why I said that? Because pricing, we need to take pricing as a tool, because if you are going to reimbursement of a technology or of a drug or for whatever, you need to take into account the limitation of the budget at country level. So for that reason, you need to take into account which is the right price in order to be affordable for the population. So you need to use pricing as a tool in order to define your strategy. Yeah. You see what I mean? So that pricing is another tool. Then is the positioning of the drug, the clinical development, and then the pricing. So because the drugs who are coming in the future are higher price, but the countries don't have enough money to pay everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to the reimbursement the reimbursement pathway. So that means use the price as a tool and trying to fix a right price corridor in order to help your technology or asset or whatever to arrive to the markets.
Do you see a lot of technologies stopping at the end because they were projecting a certain price?
Many.
That's not.
Many. Many technologies and many products and many assets were stopped for pricing and were stopped for not clear TPP. Yeah.
Okay, so you
And the disparity between the level of evidence you had and the level of evidence that the country needs, and then the needs that the clinicians or whatever the country had. So this is quite voluntary.
But Europe right now is trading simplicity for coordination, no? In the market access, for example, for new
Yes, because from the beginning of 2025, we start with the GCA and the GCS, because it's good for Europe. That means now the 27 countries has a unique maybe evaluation in terms of clinical assessment, so that it's good for the countries. Then the implementation of this rule started in 2025 with orphan drugs or with some oncology drugs, and they will be all implemented in 2030. So that is good. That is good because in some matter that give a tool to the countries in order to have at least this evaluation done. And then the countries can only fix in the other, which is the reimbursement. And the other important thing is trying to unify criteria. That means now with the GCA and the GCS is based in a tool is called PICO. That means population, intervention, competitors, and outcomes. So, and the way to build up this tool is going bottom to up. That means from country level to European level. That means this tool can be adapted in each of the 27 countries in order to cover the real positioning of the product in each of the countries. So it's quite important, the PICO assessment.
Okay.
Can be used also for medical technologies in the near future. So it's quite important to understand how the process works. Not only for drugs.
Okay. And health technology assessment is quietly redefining value.
Yeah.
And cost effectiveness remains necessary, but now we're seeing new things like environmental impact, system sustainability, workforce events, and societal contributions are also being considered when it comes to health technology assessment. So, how do you see that being implemented?
For these range of topics, I see two high priority topics for me. One is how to show up the sustainability in terms of production yeah, in production of drugs, technology or whatever. This is one thing. And you can see in some countries that the sustainability rationale behind the decision to incorporate some technology is there. And the other one is, it's technology, and the other one is social return of investment. That means if your technology has a positive impact at social level, that means you can, in order to quality of life, in this kind of things. Many HTA bodies in euros taking an account in order to be reimbursed the social impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's quite important. What really happened when I introduce a technology, that means I can reduce the cost of personnel, I can reduce whatever, I can reduce the days of hospital, I can increase the quality of the life of a patient, and how to measure that. More than cost effectiveness, because cost effectiveness is mainly based in the cost of the technology or the drug or the asset, and the effectiveness that this asset introduced to the system, the public system, right? So we need to go a step forward. And the way to go to step forward is measure in some matter the quality of life, or measure which is the impact in the green zone, no, in the sustainability, right?
Yes, of course. That this technology actually brings something for the healthcare system that actually can be shown on the on paper. So, for example, let's talk about AI and how it can save time for clinicians and how you can actually show it.
Or reintroduction is in the work day to day. For example, if a patient can stay 10 days in the hospital instead of 20, that's much better for the system, for the public system,
Yeah.
in terms of taxes or whatever.
Of course.
And you need to measure these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And if the patient can leave the hospital earlier, it's also a way to measure quality of life and to measure impact on the taxes of the country.
Of course, yes. Yes, because, well, from the personal experience, a lot of actually clinicians, they're saying that everything is free because we are in public, but it's not true. It's totally not true. And sometimes, actually, today, one of my colleagues, she said in Mataró, it's one of the region in Barcelona, it's a public hospital, but they used to give a factor, like a list of things that they used while the patient was inside the hospital to see how much they waste. Well, not waste, but they spend money from the public, public money, or to keep this patient 1 night, 2 nights, and of course the patient shouldn't pay for that, but it's nice practice to give the, let's say, the image to the patient that one day if you're gonna be in the hospital for, I don't know, maybe you had stupid stuff. No, sometimes we do stupid stuff, and but we don't think about consequences because as it's a public health, people think, okay, everything is free.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good practice now to show people that actually.
For me, it's clear. For me, it's the future. The future is based in these two things. The social impact of the introductions of assets, technology, whatever in health, and also is this technology or these assets needs to be sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of
Exactly.
affected to the environment or whatever. So that is more related with the production facilities, and the other is more related with the day-to-day usage of the technology asset or whatever.
Exactly.
But it's quite important. It's more than cost and effectiveness. There are things to need to learn and to teach and to take in account now, not need to wait any more time, right? Because we did it now in order to validate now and to evaluate now. Yeah.
Okay, now we go a little bit about yourself. So you studied as a biologist, then you shifted to the commercial side and had an entire career in that. How was the shift? And do you see commercialization as a departure of science, as a betrayal for science, or is it a final necessary step for the scientific method to actually treat a patient?
I would say two phrases related with that. Yeah. Regarding my experience from the science to the business, right? Yeah. The first thing for me, I wrote it because I think it's quite interesting. I'm based in these two mandatory phrases for me. Science without adoption is knowledge, right? We are reading that. Yeah? But science without access, with access, is treatment. This is one of the two main topics that when I took the decision to go from the science to the business, because it's a way to move devices, assets, or whatever, which is science, pure science, and have access to patients. This is my main rationale where I decided to move from biology or from pharmacy to the commercialization side.
It's really powerful because, like, I follow the same steps. Like, I've always been a doctor and always saw myself as nothing but a doctor. But actually working, you see yourself, your hand tied a lot of times. You actually can't help a lot because patients can't access the technologies. And coming from Egypt, we see a lot of technologies elsewhere in the world, but they cannot be accessed.
Affordable,
Yeah. So that's very powerful to hear that.
I think it's, for example, this morning I have a short meeting with a person who wants to move from the academic side to the industry, and I told her these two sentences. Yeah, you're working now in science. Yeah, you're working in science, then, but without adoption, it's knowledge, only knowledge. Yeah. So this is quite important. And then when I took the decision from move to science and let's move to the business part, because science without access is nothing.
And also, it's a lot of work to move from one side to another.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Actually, starting this master's degree, we have
I like a huge recommendation to her this morning. I remember that interview this morning, and I recommend her to go through consultancy first, in order to understand and to gain the experience with different topics. Why separate, differentiate from technologies, to drugs, to digital technologies, to artificial intelligence, whatever, in order to gain the experience, and to look at that, what really happened with science is going to business, right? So that is quite important for me.
What was your skill set when you entered corporate world from science, basically from biology to corporate world?
Well, then the first thing that I do was a master's degree in business administration.
That opened your mind?
Yeah,
No.
fairly open. Changed my mind totally. And another one, I do another master's degree on marketing too, in order to understand how can we apply the marketing tools for big products like computers, beverage, or whatever in the science sector. Yeah.
But these are studies. What are skill sets you developed on the job in the first years that you would say are necessary to be developed for science?
I have remarked three ones. Yeah. The first one is when you move from science, it's also used in science, but we need to, in some way, to be transported to the business, to the company, or to the whatever environment, is explaining complex ideas simply. Yeah? That is quite important, because sometimes did you apply this in science, but trying to apply it in business or in corporations, right? This is one of the things this is one of the rationales I'll say I'm going to be teaching in a master's degree in business administration, just to understand this, right? The other thing is to have capabilities in negotiations. Train your negotiation skills, because it's quite important. Yeah. And the third one is trying to have understanding how decisions, it's systematic thinking, how decisions ripple across different functions, right? So this is quite interesting too, because a corporation is like is like LinkedIn, but in a small manner, in a small size, right? So you need to understand the connections inside a big corporation, right?
Of course, yes.
So this is my three main topics.
And I should say, market to sell something to a doctor or clinician is very difficult because you need to know the right person to understand the market, who are your clients, and
It's not easy.
it's not easy at all because it's
Not easy. I remember when I was starting in this industry, I started as a sales rep. Yeah, that's difficult.
it's very difficult.
And when you're coming from science, to sell science is not easy.
Scientists, you know.
To a scientist,
Exactly.
come on, eh?
It's like, okay.
Come on, eh? To sell science to a doctor,
Yes.
yeah,
This is what
you need a lot of training.
exactly. And you understand the person, you know, a lot of psychological work.
Yeah, there's many psychological work. Yeah. For example, in order to sell active listening, it's quite important. Yeah.
So,
And also trying to understand which the doctor said underlines,
it's-
because underlines you can identify the real unmet needs. Yeah. And you can focus your message.
Okay. Doing this master's program, and I'm thinking now of building a startup, and I think that if I make a product, a very good one, it will sell itself if I have the good data and the good proof. So, as someone who mastered the commercial side, is this a delusion, or does it actually sell itself, or do I need to do something more?
It's a good question. Something more? What do you mean to do something more?
To prove that this is a good solution, or in terms of market access, in terms of
So, as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, the most important thing is that you can have a plan in order to generate evidence. Yeah, this is the most important thing, because if you don't have evidence, you don't have nothing. Yes? Yeah. And if you want to have to gain access to different markets, the level of evidence is important. Yeah, because everything is based in the level of evidence. Whatever it's private or public or whatever. So the level of evidence of a drug, of a technology, of a diagnosis tool, of a digital tool is the level of evidence. If you go, for example, to the German market, which is quite, specialized in digital solutions. So with the digital solutions, you need to prove level of evidence. If this tool or this application or whatever, trying to change the disease or cover unmet needs that with normal treatments we don't cover, right? So that for me, the most important thing is trying to justify your TPP, your product positioning with the level of evidence. And then you can go to the rest. But then the first thing is that.
the evidence.
For me, it's evidence. Because evidence, it's the way to show up the benefits of your drug. Is it your drug or your treatment or your technology covering the unmet needs in the market? And that's all. And then you do the pricing strategy, whatever, price strategy, access strategy, regulatory pathways, whatever you want to do. But the first thing for me, it's evidence. And work on the level of evidence, yeah? And work this evidence with the real unmet needs. And if you have that, then you can go for the market. But if you don't have that, or you don't have the money to do it, or you don't go, please, don't go, because you lose time, money, investments, or whatever.
It's a long, long way. But it's important.
Depend on the technology and then depend on the asset, right? So
Well, but
it's a long way. Yeah, it's a long way. Yeah, but in health, everything it's a long way.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
No, it
Because
needs a
you are
lot of
working with
support.
evidence. You are not working with
Exactly.
chips or with beverage or with whatever, no, or computers. So we need evidence to show up that this solution really brings something that is not now in the market.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking to add bubbles to a drink. We're talking different things. So
That's true. That's why every lecture in this master's that we started in Master Innovation and Entrepreneurship and Health, it's opening my eyes, yours also, everyone's eyes on how important, but at the same time, you need a lot of support on the way, this long way to actually release the product or pharma, no? And I think you need a lot of support from everyone and a lot of expertise. And yeah, that's why I really recommend for everyone who wants to try something to launch, you need to go to expertise. And
It's good to be in an ecosystem, and I think that's
yeah,
the good thing happening now, that there are ecosystems pushing everyone to do something.
This is another important thing. This is another great topic, because if your idea or your whatever, your idea, your proposal of company, your idea of entrepreneurship, whatever, if you are in a good ecosystem, like this at the particular case of Catalonia, that's much better.
yeah,
That's much better in order to be successful.
of course. In Catalonia, a lot of
Yeah, because in Catalonia it's a perfect ecosystem. There's not many cities in Europe which is huge and perfect ecosystem. Yeah, with the academic part, with the investor part, with the technology part. So we have a lot of things here with the experts. Yeah, this is another recommendation. You have an idea, you need to work whatever, in a technology, in a track, in a biomarketing, whatever. So please start your process and your ideas with a companion of experts. This is my recommendation from the beginning, in order to avoid mistakes.
yes,
Yeah, because you are looking for investment. That means a lot of money. You are looking for solutions. You are looking for clinical evidence. You are looking for many things. That means that please start with the support of experts. And you are lucky here because there are many experts here in order to guide you through all the process, because it's a long process, but you need the expertise of someone in order to guide you.
as you choose. Thank you very much for your time and the conversation with us.
It was so fun, yeah. Yeah, we learned a lot, and was so happy to be with you.
It's a big honor and another expert just in front of us. So
And thank you for everyone listening. And
till next episode.
yeah.